Welcome into your Andy Isabella draft profile powered by PFF Edge and Elite. Mike Isabella, one of your favorite players in the entire draft. I know you're calling him a first rounder. He's a first rounder on our draft board. Let's describe his skill set because he's more than just a little slot receiver.
He is definitely more than just a little slot receiver. He went to the Senior Bowl and they pigeonholed him into that slot role. I can see why you'd want to, but I think the usage that he had at UMass, where he spent about 56% of his snaps on the outside receiver, 44% of his snaps from the slot, pretty much identical to how the Kansas City Chiefs used Tyreek Hill last year in that offense, is how I would use him in the NFL because of how much of a deep threat he is. That 4.31 speed he showed at the Combine shows up on tape. His ability to get behind defenses, hit the home run play is second to none in this class.
Yeah, if you make him a slot receiver and you just have him run, the option routes, the two-way goes, it's actually not his skill set. Yeah. Even though he has the size and he's a former running back, he's great with the ball in his hands, he's great after the catch. But I like the Tyreek Hill usage comparison because you'd see Tyreek Hill as the inside slot and run the deep over routes and just use his speed to really dominate from the slot. The concern we have even internally here, though, with Isabella, can he handle press coverage at the next level? I think the Tyreek role protects him just a little bit.
Yeah, it's not 1990. You don't have to have a guy line up on the line of scrimmage, every single snap of the game and run just the vertical route tree. You can get creative with your usage of these wide receivers. You can move him around, get him a lot of clean releases, because that's what you worry about when you have a 5'9", 188-pound wide receiver, is getting him a clean release so that he's not pressed and just stuck on the line of scrimmage all game long against a bigger physical corner. Get him a clean release, get him running at the safeties down the field. That's where he's most dangerous.
His deep receiving grade, best in the class last year. His overall grade was the best in the entire class. I mean, when you look at him stylistically compared to other NFL receivers, who comes to mind as far as projecting Isabella?
To me, he projects favorably to a guy like Brandon Cooks, who is not just a slot coming out of Oregon State, similar in terms of extremely productive for a team that really isn't known for producing wide receivers. Sticks out like a sore thumb at Oregon State wide receiver going for 1,600 plus yards. That's like Andy Isabella. UMass, not the school you'd project to have a guy leading the nation in receiving yards, but that's because he's just that special of a talent, in my opinion, that I think it'll translate to the deep ball at the NFL level. We've seen it with Brandon Cooks. He's top 5 every single year, it seems like, in terms of deep receiving yards. So I think that's what Andy Isabella's, sort of favorable, and that's his upside at the NFL level.
So all season last year, Andy Isabella, our top graded receiver, he goes into the last game of the season against Georgia and just dominates against a very good Georgia team. That was one of the things that sealed the deal for me, him making catches all over the place. And we've talked about him as a deep threat, has the speed. It's more than just speed, being able to make catches down the field. He has the body control to adjust, and he showed that in the Georgia game. I think that's what has me sold on him as a potential first-round player.
Yeah, and he's small in terms of 5'9", but 188 pounds is solid at 5'9". You saw it against cornerbacks at the college level. He could be shoulder to shoulder with a guy, lean in, get a yard of separation, then you're not making that yard back up because of that 4.31 speed. How dangerous that is. I think that's who he can be at the NFL level.
Let's wrap it up with this. Even though we think he could be a deep threat, he could play on the outside. If you do have to use Isabella as a gimmick player, use him on jet sweeps and screens. Former running back, was a running back at UMass early in his career. Very good with the ball in his hands, third in the nation in yards after the catch last year.
Yeah, you can still get production out of him. He's safe in that regard in terms of you can fall back on that slot production, that sort of gimmick production where he's still a home run threat with just the ball, getting the ball in his hands at the line of scrimmage. He can still hit the big play. So I think from that perspective, there's a floor that's higher than a lot of other guys in this class.
He went to the Senior Bowl and did not catch the ball well.
Yes, the hands were an issue there, 3 drops, but that's a very small sample size. We saw him over the course of his career, only 6 drops this past season on over 100 catches. It's not really that big of a deal to me, but the catch rate is a real thing. He's not going to be able to, you're going to need an accurate quarterback to play with him. He's not going to be a contested catch guy at the NFL level.
So there you have it. It's your Andy Isabella draft profile, all powered by PFF Edge and Elite.